And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bubba and the Bloom, episode 285. Continuing our position by position recap of the 2025 fantasy baseball season, we head to second base, where not great Bob is the nicest way I can put it. We'll dig into that and much, much more per usual. But before that, you can find me on Twitter at BDintric Podcast, at Bubba Bloom Pod, and on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. And my co-host, as always, on Twitter at RyanBHQ, Ryan Bloomfield. How we doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. We are almost done with our meatball redraft. Yes. So we are in that horrible position of like round, 46, 47.
I had my 47th round pick right before the show. Yes.
Yeah. I did my first ever placeholder pick, which is you draft someone that's not even in the pool. I have no idea if they will even play in Major League Baseball this season, but it was Mr. Miyagi. It was Hiroya Miyagi of Japan. So shout out old Tom for that recommendation. No, I'm doing good. I'm going to catch you by surprise here, but just want to wish you a happy birthday, my friend. Tonight is your last night as we record as a 40-something-year-old. Birthday on Wednesday, October 15th, as many folks are listening to this, hopefully when it comes out. If you hear this, wish Bubba a happy birthday. He doesn't like it. He's turning red, or even the top of his bald head's turning red. So make sure you wish Bubba a happy birthday on Wednesday, October 15th.
I appreciate that, my friend. That was very kind of you. I didn't say it, but that's why I had the festivities that took place a lot this weekend. What I talked about in the Discord was for the birthday.
Oh, that was for your birthday?
Well, kind of hanging out with friends. Like there's 16 of us that golfed on Sunday. So yeah.
We got 16. Damn.
Yeah, I got four. No, we just have a bunch of guys that like to get away from their wives. That's literally what I told them. I texted them. I said, "Hey, tell them it's for my birthday, so they feel like they have to go." And it worked. No gifts.
Round up the troops. Round up the troops.
Tell them it's for Bubba's birthday. Let's go golf, and it worked. But thank you for that. Big day of work and dinner. Yes, lots of fun.
Yeah. I'm sure Wednesday birthdays in your 40s, like, just not.
A lot changes. It hits different, as they say. Yeah. So, yeah. If it was my decision, it'd be dinner at home and in bed by 8 o'clock probably. But we don't do that tomorrow night.
That's the dream.
I get to do homework and then have dinner and then do bath. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Awesome stuff. So
you had your fun though. You had your fun.
No complaints. But thank you for that. We'll see if I can make it another trip around the sun, and we'll have so much more fun with Bubba and the Bloom from there.
I hope so. We spent all this money on new graphics. I hope we at least make it another year.
Goodness gracious! Like I said, all the other boxes and stuff I got keep coming in for FPAS. It's better. It's better. Right. I was just joking, folks. Just joking out there. I don't see why I wouldn't. But on that great note. Let's talk about another dying position, second base.
You won't have to review second base next year if you don't make it.
Woo, but who's going to review catcher is the question. All right, let's get to it. Second base position, Ryan, because I got nothing else. No housekeeping, no news. Second base coming up for us here. It's not great. It's one of those, though, I think we admitted it's not as bad as you want to make it out to be. It's just not a lot of top-tier talent at the position is what it feels like. So it might be like the opposite at first base, possibly, in a roundabout way. Before we get started, though, remind listeners what we're looking at on the wonderful Bloom board here, as it's what we do every episode with each positional recap.
Yep. So just like catcher first base, our board here is the top 30 preseason ADP at second base, what their ADP was, what their rank was before the season at second base, and then what their end of season ranking was at second base per the Fangraphs player rater. And then you've got the color coded batting average, home runs, and steals. So yeah, I think your point on second base kind of being the anti first base, that's actually an interesting point. I agree with. Second base gets a bad rap because you're right. There is not a lot of top tier talent. There was only one player at second base in the top that finished in the top 50 for the per the Fangraphs player rater. There were only 4 players in the top 80, only 2 second basemen had 30-plus home runs. Only 5 had 20-plus home runs. So not a lot of top-end power, which you probably wouldn't expect at second base. But only 4 with 25-plus stolen bases, too. So there's not a lot of top-end talent, or there was not a lot in 2025. But I think a thicker midsection, we'll call it, at second base. I think there's some okay depth in the middle there. Whereas you're right, first base a little bit more top tier, but not as wide in the middle.
A thicker midsection. That's what I should have been using for a lot of my years. That would have been a much better way of saying beefy. So I like that. Another thing that stands out, you kind of hinted at it, is we always do rank at position, but from the player rater. My God, there is a lot of players like 40 and beyond, 25 and beyond in the top 30 picks. A lot of failed picks in this range is what I'm trying to get at.
A lot of busts
as well.
Yep.
Like we'll have a few of the breakouts. There's probably even some deeper guys that were like serviceable that won't get mentioned that came off the wires. Like, and it's just a weird position as a whole. Power wise, a lot of 15 plus guys, but nothing crazy. Steals are involved, hit and miss in there, but not as much average as I would expect from the middle infield.
Agreed.
I guess, if that makes sense. That's a big standout to me. It's a really, really rough batting average position compared to what I think we'd expected most seasons.
I mean, that's a very good point. To kind of put some numbers to that, Jazz Chisholm, who was the top second baseman, finished second in the position. He 242. Ozzie Albies 240. Matt McLean 220. Marcus Semien hit 230. Tommy Edman hit 220. Andres Jimenez hit 210. Luis Rengifo hit 238. Those are all guys that were drafted in the top 15 at second base. And I could rattle off. It gets even, just trust me, if you're not watching the show, it gets even worse on the right side of this bloom board, 16 through 30 at batting average. So you're right. Not a whole lot of batting average depth. There were a few guys who, contributed an elite batting average, and that carried a lot. But just a lot of middling power, even stolen bases. Like, I don't know. I mean, I said that stat earlier about only 4 guys with 25 plus stolen bases. A lot of low numbers too. So, especially at the end, like there are your slow second basemen that kind of prevail here too.
Yeah, a couple more things is we mentioned that there are a couple high batting average guys outside of Marte and Bryce Terang. There weren't really any 4 to 5 category high batting average guys, so you had to really build accordingly with those types.
Yep.
Like you have Nico Horner, Luis Ariz, Xavier Edwards in that world. The other thing I think I'll mention is it emphasizes more and more, which we'll talk next or Thursday about. Actually, this is why shortstop is your middle infield position. You do not want 2 of these guys on your roster.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. It is absolutely tough to do that.
Yeah. Berksey in the chat here says catcher and first base both had 9 players in the top 30 ADP finish outside the top 30 on the player rater. Same as second base. Good pull. Very good pull there. First base was another top heavy. But the last thing I'll mention before I'm down to talk players, once you have more, is yes, we clown on first base. We're going to definitely make fun of second base here. In the end, though, you still have to roster them. So you kind of have to look at the position as a whole and go, how do I want to attack it? Is the best way I can say it, because you can't just go, well, you know what, I'm just playing a 7 utility league, we'll cross second base off the list. So even though the position stinks, you still have to be like, okay, like we talked about it kind of with our meatball draft recap. Most teams didn't even have a second baseman through the first 11 rounds.
Yeah,
we're just all waiting and going to play in that middle ground and see what happens, and maybe take 4 throughout the draft or something. And that's obviously DCs are different, but that's kind of a philosophy potentially in this upcoming talk.
And that's where I think we will end up with at second base heading into 2026. It's kind of that same deal where you're just like, if you don't get one of the top guys, just kind of wait, see what riffraff is still around by like the 12th round or something, and go with that.
Exactly. So we'll kick it off with the man at the top of the board, the man in the graphic for the show doing jazzy jazz things. Jazz Chisholm had an ADP of 21. First second baseman off the board, finished second at the position, hit 242, 31 homers, 31 stolen bases. Another great season for Jazz Chisholm. Surprisingly, his first 30-30 season, but another great year. And he only played 130 games, which just enhances how great Jazz Chisholm is, Ryan. before I give you the throne on this one, I do want to shamelessly plug the Bench with Bubba I did with Ben Titt on Tuesday. It's one of our 3-part series like we did last year where he compares projections and how well they did to hitter projections throughout the season, or real stats versus projections. Jazz Chisholm for players over 400 at-bats was the 24th most accurately projected player.
Huh. Okay.
And I just wanted to highlight this is how good Jazz Chisholm is, because Ben has a column that says, okay, if you were within 50 at bats compared to the projection at bats, then it's like, okay, they did pretty good. Jazz wasn't. Jazz had 462 at bats. He was projected for 530. So just imagine that he's basically 68 at bats short of the projections. But he was projected for 81 runs, scored 75. Projected for 26 homers, hit 31. Projected for 75 runs, hit 75 RBIs, had 80 RBIs. Projected for 35 steals at 31. So my point is, in basically 70 fewer at bats, he had more home runs and nearly the same everything else. That's how good. Basically, if you want to do the per plate appearance, back to Welch's stuff, that's how good Jazz Chisholm is. And this is why we've always said, you play a full season, dude's a monster. He's kind of done it in Jazz. Like, I think 130 games for Jazz might be a full season. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, why you could start getting on board of how good he is. So sorry, long-winded way, but that stood out from my earlier show. I wanted to pass it on here. What do you got on Jazz Chisholm?
No, you covered it really well. I mean, I was just going to add, I mean, really the injury this season, it wasn't really a nagging, it wasn't oblique. Missed all of May with the oblique, but no real effects. I can't talk tonight. After effects of that oblique. So we've pretty much gone 2 seasons in a row of Jazz Chisholm of pretty much staying healthy. And like, yeah, you can't rule out the month, but like you just said, 530 plate appearances, that kind of is a full season for Jazz. So really good season for Jazz. The power, I mean, the barrel rate went up from 10% last year to 15% in 2025. Total green light with the Yankees. I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Like, yeah, I don't see too much upside in the batting average there, 242. So if you're going to take Jazz, you need to pair it with some batting average cushion. But just kind of goes to show someone who, like, I mean, plate appearance wise, before last season, it was 241 plate appearances in 2022, 383 plate appearances. He gets that injury prone label. And a lot of people, myself included, don't want to draft someone that early with that type of injury history. Even heading into 2025, I was like, let me see him do it again. And that's why I wasn't taking, Jazz Chisholm. And thus I've been burned 2 years in a row, not taking one of the premier second basemen. Will I do it again next year? I have no idea, but I probably will. And then he'll get hurt, which is probably how it goes.
As I was saying, this will be the year we buy in, he gets hurt. But to me, it's like we've talked about it enough on this show, Discords, you name it, that it's like, I think I at least need to be able to take a few more risks, like not insane risks. Like Jazz, yeah, he can get hurt. Anybody can get hurt, but at least Jazz's risk, like if he plays 130 games, like we know how good he's going to be, where other guys are different. And it just comes down to roster construction. And there's certain guys, especially we'll talk about later on, like say Xavier Edwards, where it's great batting average, steals, and nothing. Jazz might have a down batting average, but he's like pretty dang good in 4 other categories at the second base position. And if you just paired him up with, this is where we kind of were down last week, you could pair him with Vlad, and now you have a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, where a lot of future talk here, but I've become much more open to Jazz in recent dives into him.
And should we even give him that injury label anymore? The last 3 months of 2025 was fully healthy and going strong, and really 11 of the last 12 months over the last 2 seasons, Jazz Chisholm has been healthy and going strong. So like you said, anybody can get hurt. Is Jazz really that much more susceptible to it?
No, Giancarlo is not Jazz. I'm actually more worried about Jazz getting like suspended for doing something stupid, just because he gets pissy and like that's just his personality. But like it's why a lot of us love Jazz, but also might end up hating him at some point because
Bubba really has a suspension risk built into his projection model.
I should have worn. I wore it like last year. I have the Jazz Chisholm T-shirt from.
That's right. You did.
So like I'm a fool. I love Jazz. Zero qualms there. All right. Let's go to the second baseman off the board. ADP of 35. Finished 5th at the position. Ketel Marte finished here at 283, 28 home runs, 4 stolen bases. Never been a massive steal guy. Power was good. Everything was good for the most part. Only 126 games. What are your thoughts on Ketel Marte? Because it's kind of like Jazz, where injuries or how many games will he play is in question. The ceiling's not Jazz-esque, at least with speed, but everything else is pretty solid.
Everything else is super solid. Career high barrel rate for Ketel Marte. It was a career high last year at 12%, bumped that up to 14% this season. And for Ketel Marte's career, that barrel rate has been below average, 7%. So a really nice kind of, I want to say late career, but I don't know, mid-late career power spike for Ketel Marte. Best thing about that is he did not sell out for the power this season. So the 28 homers fully deserved. If you look at barrels, 54 barrels, but he did it with a 15% strikeout rate, which is down from, well, really his best since pre-COVID times. So that combination of hitting the ball harder, not striking out more to get to it was super impressive for Ketel Marte. And yeah, injuries, sure, but like technically, and I know this is all kind of arbitrary endpoints, but 4 straight seasons, 550 plus plate appearances for Ketel Marte. So just hasn't had that kind of disaster injury, just more nagging stuff that he's been able to play through quite well. So if you took Ketel Marte, like, yeah, finished 5th at the position, you took him 2nd. I think you're in general happy with that, given the batting average and home runs that he provided compared to certainly some of these next few names that we're going to talk about after Altuve.
Yep. Again, another no steals guy, though. So keep that in mind. That's
correct.
Big bummer. He'll be 33 next year, too. So another one to keep an eye on. Speaking of old, Jose Altuve was the 3rd second baseman off the board, ADP of 74. Finished 6th, though. Hit 265, 26 homers, 10 steals. This is down from a 2020 season where he hit 295. People were calling for regression. Not sure we thought it'd be that much, but he had a massive, even the runs scored, everything was down. He had more RBIs. I'll give him that. That's why, because he had more homers. But runs scored, stolen bases, average, all declined quite a bit. Where are we at on Jose Altuve? He'll be 36 years old next year.
I know, like the dude, yeah, I don't know. I guess it is a decline, and I can always point to the homer to barrel. I always talk about that, but the park, I mean, Altuve knows how to hit in that park. 26 home runs, only 30 barrels. Like, I'm sure we'll do a home run per barrel episode at some point. In general, half of your barrels are home runs. In general, you take your number of barrels, you divide it by 2, roughly is around amount of homers. So Ketel Marte is certainly, I don't even want to say on the more fortunate end of that, but he pulls a ton and it works in that stadium. It's just, yeah, everything else you mentioned, the stolen base decline, the batting average decline. It's weird. Like, this wasn't not a bad pick, but like, how long can this dude keep doing this? I don't know, but he held it together enough in 2025 that Altuve at least made you happy where you took him.
Agreed. Completely agreed. Ozzie Albies, another conundrum. 84 ADPs, 4 second basemen on the board, finished 16th at the position. And that tells you a lot about how bad the position was if he finished 16th. Because Albies hit 240. 240. I mean, one more time. Ozzie Albies hit 240 last year with 16 home runs and 14 stolen bases. So I'm at a loss for Ozzie Albies. Obviously, you can deep dive, and there are things to point at when it comes to Ozzie Albies. Like, the dude's quality of contact metrics were just abysmal last season. Yeah. But what do you see when you look at Ozzie Albies? Because this is a guy that used to be like in discussions for the 1st second baseman off the board. I don't even know if I want to pull him off the board right now.
And Ozzie broke the even year, odd year trend. This was an odd year guy. 30 home runs in 2021, 33 in 23. 24 homers back in 2019, and that did not happen in 2025. So, yeah, you can point to a 259 BABIP for Ozzie Albies. That's really bad, really low. That's probably why Ozzie Albies hit 240 on the season, because he does put the ball in play a lot. But you can't just take one look at BABIP and call it that, because, like you said, Bubba, the quality of contact was truly horrendous. Like, one of the lowest barrel rates for Ozzie Albies in his career. Hits the ball in the air a decent amount, 43%. So that's not a good combination. And BABIP, I mean, Ozzie Albies hasn't had a 300 BABIP, which is league average since COVID. So like, I don't think you can expect much of a batting average rebound for Ozzy Albies, which is weird to say. So I don't know, man. This is someone who still, it feels like Ozzy Albies like 33 years old. He's still 28 years old. You can take the glass half full side and say that Ozzy Albies at this age has like 4 really good fantasy seasons under his belt. Who knows when the Atlanta lineup can take off? That's the glass half full side. But man, a lot of these skills are not trending in the right direction. And like you said, to finish 16th, even that seems fortunate almost for Ozzy Albies. But I guess I don't know, 14 bags does some lifting there.
The 14 bags helps a ton and I guess it's just volume more than anything. He actually played a lot of his games this past year compared to some struggles he's had in previous seasons. So yeah, bad all around. The Braves have just been bad for 2 years in a row. So we'll see if that ever changes. The 5th second baseman off the board had an ADP of 85. So, you thought maybe, do I take Albies or McLean? Neither was the answer. McLean finished 26th at the position. He hit 220 with 15 home runs and 18 steals. He really never got going. It felt like he had a couple random streaks where it was good, but he was sitting. He was getting platooned. He still played 147 games, got 577 plate appearances, but as a whole, just horrible after high expectations and after his 2023 season. Obviously missed 2024, but that's kind of missing 2024. I'm wondering if 2026 is the year we want Matt McLean. That's another discussion for another day. But where you at on Matt McLean, who just everything fell off compared to what we were hoping as a repeat from 2023?
Yeah, when you strike out almost 30% of the time, I don't know if you fully deserve a 220 batting average, but you certainly can't expect the 290 batting average that Matt McLean had in 2023. So the good news with Matt McLean is, like you said, you could say this was kind of a shake off the rust type year. And Matt McLean was very effective on the base pass, 18 for 20. That's a pretty decent fantasy floor. And then you have at least average power in that park if you play enough, like McLean did at 577 plate appearances last year. You play enough in that park, you're just going to approach 20 home runs. So I like the power speed aspect of the equation. I don't know about the batting average. Like I don't know how much that rebounds given how much or how often Matt McLean strikes out.
Let's look at that massive BABIP drop from 2023. It was a 90-point drop basically.
Yeah.
Like if we could just cut that in half, and now he's hitting 240, 245, he's probably getting closer to being 2020 again. That's very appealing to me, actually, at the second base position.
I think the biggest thing, too, with Matt McLean is he made it through the season healthy, right? I guess he missed some time with I think it was a hamstring injury early in the season, but wasn't, I think, shoulder related, which was the previous problem with Matt McLean. So you like to see that in terms of a rebound potential of getting right in 2026.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Let's talk about Jordan Westburg. He's the 6th second baseman off the board, ADP of 102. Finished 28th at the position, did hit 265, 17 homers, 1 steal. Only played in 85 games due to a very, very serious injury that took him out for like almost 2 months or so, maybe longer, actually. But the skills resembled everything we've seen. Prior to is actually more power more than anything, but everything, the strikeout rates, the average, all that good stuff was, even the barrel rate and hard hit rate were pretty much in line with previous seasons. He was just like the home run to fly ball was actually not too far off either. So he was just balling out. It's what he was doing. What's your thoughts on Westburg? Because he won't be second base this year, I don't believe. He'll be third base only coming in 2026. That's a different show. But he was second base for the draft and for the season. So Westburg down, 20th in the position, but I think it's more so due to lack of games played.
Lack of games played, and I don't know if you remember, but I remember early in the season, there were things coming out from Baltimore just like, Westburg's hurt, and he's just going to play hurt this season.
He'll play through it. Yeah, he's going to need a couple days off here, a couple days off there.
Yeah, that's not what you want to hear. The most surprising thing, so outside of all that, and that casts a shadow or a cloud or whatever over Westburg's season, because I don't know. I don't want to call it a lost season. 350 plate appearances, and some of the skills were decent, but that certainly casts a shadow over it. I'm surprised Jordan Westburg did not run at all. He only had 3 stolen base attempts, and that was I think if you drafted Westburg, you weren't expecting a Jazz Chisholm type stolen base total, but you were hoping for 10, 15 over a full season if Jordan Westburg runs, and only attempted 3, was thrown out twice. I think a lot of that is due to that hamstring injury and an ankle. So the hammy was pretty much all of May and first half of June, and then there was an ankle that put him out for another month in August. So that's to be expected. Does the stolen base total rebound next year? We'll see. But other than that, yeah, like you said, skills pretty much stayed the same in terms of batting average, power. I think that's pretty solid if he can run, and if the Baltimore lineup can be what we thought the Baltimore lineup would be entering 2025, that would do Jordan Westburg a hell of a lot of help in terms of runs and RBI. But yeah, 17 games at second base as well. So depends on your league format, but in 20-game leagues, Jordan Westburg is third base only next year.
Yeah, if he is second base, he kind of is a poor man's Ketel Marte to me. Like, I think, like, average, I don't know if he meets the Ketel average, but everything else I could see matching up pretty good with Ketel. So I guess we'll see if he can be healthy. Be healthy is the key to this one.
That's what he needs. Yep.
Marcus Semien was the 7th second baseman off the board, ADP of 125, finished 27th. You heard it in Bloom's voice, hit 230, 15 homers, 11 steals, and showcased that he's human. Played 127 games. The first time he's played less than 159 games since 2017.
Wow.
So quite the stretch, and I'm not counting COVID, obviously, folks, but a massively down season. He is going to be 35. I took him in the meatball draft late because I needed a second baseman. Got him much later. He's probably gone in a decade. So what are your thoughts on Semien's 2025 season, injury-riddled 2025 season?
Yeah, I mean, this is the issue with these compilers is they compile until they can't anymore. And I don't know, at some point this was going to happen with Marcus Semien, right? At age 35 season, you can't just keep playing every single day forever. Because if he did, like, honestly, the 15 homers, 11 steals, that ticks up to more like 2015, 20 homers and 15 steals. That's not that bad. Yeah, the 230 batting average was rough, but hit 238 in 2024. So it's been a while since Marcus Semien has been a batting average asset. So I don't know, man. I don't want to be too down on the guy for not reaching 700 plate appearances for the 320th year in a row. But at some point this has to stop, and we saw perhaps some of that at the end of 2025.
Yep, I agree. It's a bummer indeed. Like I said, I took him late because
what round you take him?
Let me pull it up. I got goodies right here. Draft board.
Before I took Miyagi, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well before that.
You got him 15th round.
Yeah, it's like
around, and so but there was a second base run. So
yeah,
you took him right after Bryson Stott, Luis Garcia, Otto Lopez, Sander Bogarts, and right before Matt McClain. Interestingly enough.
So yeah, quite the run right there. So I got Semien before everything disappeared at the position. Speaking of Luis Garcia Jr., he was the 8th second baseman off the board, ADP of 132, finished 18th at the position, hit 252, 16 homers, 14 steals. I had a lot of Luis Garcia Jr. Luis Garcia Jr. for some reason still gets platooned, which is great. Obviously, he might not. Maybe he's not good versus lefties, but it's one of those things. He's 25. How do we really know? Is always my conversation. But it's back-to-back years. It's basically 140 games for Luis Garcia Jr. I'm not going to mention all the projection talk, but this is the other one I wanted to discuss because, if anything, there were a lot of angry people that rostered Luis Garcia Jr., and I being one of them. I ended up cutting him. But what it comes down to, right, like, you're a projection guy. Ben's a projection guy. I like using projections. If we believe in these projections, Luis Garcia actually wasn't far off the projections, so we might need to trust them more than hope, I guess is what I'm saying.
He was one of the closer.
He was 17th on the list. He was projected for 495 at-bats. He had 488, so almost dead on. He was projected for 61 runs. He had 67, actually, so he outproduced that. Projected for 16 homers, hit 16. Projected for 65 RBIs, hit 66. Projected for 15 steals, hit 14. what crushed Luis Garcia Jr. season, folks, was a 252 batting average. He was projected for something around like 275. So that's what people were hoping, and that's what's crazy about this. This is what the other part I want to highlight. If he hits the average projection, all those other stats that he hit probably go even higher. And Luis Garcia isn't even a conversation about a failure this season. So the biggest takeaway is we might want to trust the projections in the plate appearances at bats because they kind of are baking in the stuff we don't want to trust. Is where I was going with that.
Yeah, I think the projections, and I mean, I've been on this. I remember saying this back in.
Oh, you were telling me no for
entering the season. Like Luis Garcia has been given a chance against lefties.
No, he's 25. I want like a good chance.
I don't care how old he is. He's got 500. Listen to this line for my man here against lefties. For Luis Garcia's career, 556 plate appearances, 4 home runs against lefties.
It's not good.
A 260 OBP. That is truly awful. Like at 556 career plate, that's a lot. And Luis Garcia did get 100 plate appearances against lefties this season, but it was no homers and it was a 224 OBP. The guy cannot hit lefties. I don't think you can assume that Washington is going to play Luis Garcia, and in my opinion, nor should they, because he cannot play against lefties. He's terrible.
And this is what's crazy to add on to your point. He had 393 at bats versus righties this year at 270.
Yeah,
he hit 179 versus
he's put
95. Yeah, 179 versus lefties. Obviously, all of his home runs for pretty much everything was versus righties. But okay, so then here's the other side piece to that. In a platoon, if he gives me 130 to 135 games versus righties, that platoon, if he's hitting 270 with 16 and 14, he's a great second baseman.
You don't want him playing against lefties.
That's my point. Like, I'm saying. But I agree with you. So what I think we're kind of almost on the same page right now at the moment. Is I'm almost saying like maybe I shouldn't be out on Luis Garcia if maybe they just stick to the platoon.
Yeah, let me draft this guy and hope his team doesn't play him.
I know
that often leads you to fantasy glory, I'm sure.
Yes, it stood out so bad. Like when I looked at him, like the projections were dead nuts. Except the batting average. The batting average essentially dropped because of facing a lefties 100 times.
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty much what it was.
I mean, he hit 179 in 107 plate appearances against lefties this season. So, but it's just tough if we play in weekly or bi-weekly games, and like Luis Garcia gets 2 righties and a lefty in a half week. I mean, I guess you play him, but
you gotta play him. Yeah.
Oh, you're getting 2 games if you're lucky. If you get a third game, you're screwed. So I don't know, man. That's always been my thing against Luis Garcia, and in 2025, that nothing changed my opinion on that this season.
Yeah, no, I don't. Not hating on that. It's just it stood out to me even more. Like actually, he was better than I gave him credit for. The lefty platoon situation I didn't want to believe in is what really crushed him this season.
Yep.
All right, Xavier Edwards, the 9th second baseman off the board, ADP 140, finished 12th at the position thanks to average and steals. Hit 283 with 3 home runs and 27 steals. I want to elaborate farther on that stat line real quick. So we mentioned the batting average. We mentioned the steals. We mentioned the 3 home runs. He also only had 43 RBIs to go with 75 runs scored. So essentially, he helps you in I'll give you runs. He helped you in 3 categories. And he was the 9th second baseman off the board.
I mean, yeah. Oh, I would even argue. How much did he help you in stolen bases versus what you thought he would get? Like when you drafted Xavier Edwards, I think you were planning for, not even hoping for, planning for. You might have
he was projected for 30. He was projected for 33 steals because he was 13th on this list. Yes.
Okay. Like if I'm taking Xavier Edwards, I want, as a pretty much 2.5 category guy, I want 40 bags to make that work. And to only, I guess 27 steals in a vacuum is good, but not really once you pair it with 3 home runs and what do you say, 45 RBI? Like,
yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
It's from a team construct standpoint, even though on this sheet or whatever, projection will spit out and tell me that Xavier Edwards finished 12th at the position. You took him 9th, like that. that on paper looks decent, but like, man, I wanted more. I wanted more bags. Hell, I wanted a better batting average than 283. He was helpful in both of those categories, but not helpful enough given what he doesn't do in homers and RBI.
And to be fair, he had 51 more at bats than he was projected for, so he needed to accumulate more to get close to the projections we were speaking about.
He stole more. Xavier Edwards stole more last season in less than half of the plate appearances. So last season had 31 steals and 303 plate appearances. So more than double the number of plate appearances, and did not reach that. So that's no bueno.
Yeah, and we always say like you can, build your roster accordingly. I don't think you can build for no power, lacking speed, and no RBI. I guess 2.5, 3 cat. You can't build around that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Tommy Edman, he had an injury disaster of a season. 10th off the board, ADP 153, finished 41st, 225, 13 homers, 3 steals. Lost season for Tommy Edman is the nicest way I'll say it.
Yes, and frustrating. I think we were both in on Tommy Edman entering the season. I think pretty early got hurt. I think was off to a pretty decent start before getting hurt. Yes, hit 3 homers in his first 5 games, hit 5 homers in his first, whatever, let's just call it 8 games. I can't count rows of things in a game log this late at night, but was off to a great start through the first week of April, and then got hurt, and then was ever really right again. So lost season's a really nice way to put it for Tommy Edman. It was an ankle injury twice for Edman, and I remember talking on our Fab shows, like once Edman came back, even he wasn't playing every single day, and it just was not the same guy. So I certainly like Tommy Edman again. Like I'll do it again in 2026, but frustrating because I think the way that anyone who drafted Edman saw what he could do when he was fully healthy at the beginning of the season, kind of got robbed of that, especially in the lineup and all the other contextual factors that come along with playing in LA.
Yep, and it comes down to especially when he came back, the Dodgers just wanted him healthy for the postseason because now he's playing every day, hitting well again, and still not 100% healthy, but that's what the Dodgers do because they're the Dodgers. All right,
doesn't it feel inevitable? The damn Dodgers.
It does.
Win
watching tonight's game, I was just like, yep, they're going to win it. It's just how many games. Right about
we're gonna look back and it's like it was always the Dodgers. It was always the damn Dodgers.
It's always a healthy Dodgers team because this is why they buy 9 pitchers every offseason, so they have at least 4 for the playoffs, and they just crush you. Yes. All right. After that great somber notice, the 11th second baseman off the board with an ADP of 156, finished 61st the position. That's Andres Jimenez, hit 210, 7 homers, 12 steals. Bloom, it's your guy. I'll let you have the floor.
Oh, thanks for the setup there, partner. That was tough. Remember when we thought Andres Jimenez, I think he started the year cleanup on opening day. He was a cleanup hitter for the Blue Jays.
Did he go yard like that game or the second game?
He went yard on opening day, the third game of the season, and the 5th game of the season. Had 3 homers his first 5 games, and everyone was like, all right, that's awesome, but let's get some steals, Andres. And then Andres went to the IL in May with a quad strain. Came back in June, went back on the IL with a sprained left ankle. That's now 2 lower body injuries to 2 different legs for someone who you're counting on speed. Only got 12 steals, 7 homers. This was a sheer disaster of a season. So for all the crap I just talked about Luis Garcia, I'm the one who took Andres Jimenez instead and ended up in even worse condition than Luis Garcia. So
exactly.
Not good.
Berksy says Jimenez was his Gene Segura for 2025.
Damn.
All right. Here's the best player at the position with an ADP of 151. Bryce Terang, 12th second baseman off the board, finished first at the position at 288, 18 homers, 24 steals. This is after a 2024 season. We saw a 254 average, 7 homers, and 50 steals. So he just more power, which is more runs, which is more RBIs, hit for a better average, still 24 bags. We knew he wasn't going to steal 50. Like, if he puts up something close to this every season, he's right behind Jazz Chisholm for me. at the position. Like that's
Okay.
what he did is so darn good. And what I like about the Bryce Terang thing is you're not going to find any of it on any statistical page. The 25-year-old legit made swing changes in the offseason, those kind of things we talk about that you can't just find on a paper somewhere. And it all translated very nicely.
It all translated very nicely. This is not something that I certainly expected, especially in the
Me neither.
power. And it was kind of random. So I don't know if you remember this, but our first show, it's like, we're just trying to, our first show of the 2025 season. It's like, there's really nothing to talk about. We did a bloom board of pitcher velocity, but also hitter bat speed.
Mm-hmm.
And Bryce Terang was one of the, if not the biggest risers in early bat speed versus 2024. I was like, that's interesting. I don't really, I don't know what to do with that. At the end of 2025, Bryce Terang still was one of the top gainers in bat speed, went from second percentile bat speed, which is like the slowest swing, which is fine. He's got a short swing, went from second percentile to 26th percentile. So still not like, nice. Swinging for the fences, but swinging a little bit harder. Did not really affect Bryce Terang's contact. Like K rate went up a little bit, but the quality of contact was so much better that the payoff to go from a 2% barrel rate to 8% this season for Bryce Terang is just awesome. So some nice swing changes in Bryce Terang's game. Thought we'd get more than 24 bags, but
it's hard to
really
steal when you're not on base.
Exactly, when you're like hitting home runs. So I don't know. Awesome season for Bryce Terang. Kudos to anyone who did not listen to me and told me to avoid Bryce Terang.
I was not interested in the jump in ADP either. I was all in on him the year before. That was the crappy part. Not this year. And you mentioned the 8% barrel rate, 111.2 max EV. Hard hit rates over 47%. The other thing, like 35 barrels to go with those 18 home runs, almost basically the 50% we're talking about there. So legit. But the standout, like with the swing changes, he went from a 46 or where to go 52.5% ground ball to 46. His fly ball went to 5% flipped, but you saw a 6% home run to fly to a 13.3% home run to fly. Definite changes in approach at the plate. But yeah, turned out very, very good. All right, Xander Bogaerts 13th off the board, ADP of 163, 21st position, 263, 11 homers, 20 steals. Hurt a lot towards the end of the season. He kind of did what you expect. I guess he ran more than I thought, is what I'll say.
Yeah, and even looking at this, I guess he missed time, so that's why he missed like the last month of the season.
He wasn't even supposed to come back, and he came back. Like he was supposed to be out for the season,
which is typical Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, like the shoulder injury. Like he's out for the year. No, I'm coming back.
Like, we have amputated your right arm. Oh, I'll be back in a month. So I guess that's why the year-end rank is only 21st. But I agree with you, man. This is what you kind of paid for with Xander Bogaerts. If the season ended before the injury, he's probably right on the edge of top 15 at second base, and that's where you drafted him. So you're certainly not expecting power from Xander, but he brought the speed, did not hurt you, helped you a little bit in batting average. And this is now 3 seasons. Well, 19 bags in 23, 13 bags last year, and then an uptick to 20 this season. So I don't know. I would say all in all, actually a decent year for Xander Bogaerts. You're pretty happy if you took him there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very good year. We'll see where it goes from here. Shortstop only next year, but a great year with that second base eligibility. Bryson Stott, ADP 174, is 14th second baseman off the board. Finished 10th at the position, 257, 13, and 24. Stott saw his platooning disappear as the season went on. Similar to Garcia, maybe he should have platooned, but he wasn't as bad as Garcia. Not many people are. My takeaway here is first, he was the third most accurately projected hitter with over 400 at-bats this year. So that's a surprise to me. But for a guy that I was very concerned going into this season about platoons, still at 147 games for the third straight season, 13 home runs, 24 steals. Like the steals were down compared to what we've seen, but everything else is pretty much in line with what Bryson Stott does. And I think this is kind of who Bryson Stott is. And maybe he's worthy of a pick better than 174 at this bad position.
Yeah, I mean, 24 bags for Bryson Stott is actually his lowest since 2022. Had back-to-back 30-plus stolen base seasons, the 2 seasons prior, entering to 2025. If that was a real sentence, yeah, it was weird. Like hit leadoff 38 times, hit ninth 30 times, hit eighth 36 times. So it all kind of depended on matchups there and injuries for Philly. But I don't know, just kind of a decent year for Bryson Stott. Agree, like, so one of his 13 home runs was against lefties, had 123 plate appearances against lefties, hit just 225 against lefties with a 288 slug.
Yeah, it's not good.
Which is like zero power.
You know those games you said he was hitting ninth? I can tell you which games those are, I think.
That might be the lefty games.
Yeah, I remember this very clearly, actually, because it was 8th or 9th pretty much every time he faced one.
Similar to Luis Garcia, it's someone who you don't really even want out there against same side pitching.
Well, it feels like though with Stotts, it came when all those injuries hit the Phillies in the second half. That's when he started playing more often. All right, the last one we'll go deeper a dive on here is Luis Rengifo. He's the 15th off the board, ADP 192, finished 38th in position, 238, 9 home runs, 10 steals, and a whole lot of injuries he played through because he's a G like that. But yeah, RIP, our friend, RIP.
Yeah, so RIP for 25. I'll be back in again next year, maybe. For me, it was the disappointing. Well, there were plenty of disappointing parts. Power actually came back a little bit. 9 homers, only had 6 last year. But it just didn't run, didn't hit for batting average. I mean, it's a 65-point drop from last season. So very disappointing season from the mascot. Quality of contact was not there. And just did not run nearly as often as he did the season prior. It was 13% stolen base attempt rate, which when you're on first base, how often do you steal? 13% of the time for Rengifo last year. In 2024, that was 38%. So for whatever reason, the light went red for Luis Rengifo. Maybe that reason was he was only 10 for 17 on the base pass. Not great.
Could have something to do with it. Yeah. But like he had groin injuries, hamstring injuries.
Yep.
It was like I told you that the game I went and saw him, the dude was the last one out there that had to get more stretching done. It just didn't look good at all.
That's right. You got to see him in person this year. So that's
that's
the highlight. He got engaged this year. Rengifo got engaged
after the season. So he's gonna have some honeymoon phase. Maybe there's a little Rengifo on the way. Who knows?
Oh man, mini mascot.
I
could live with that.
That would work too. That would work. Dad strength for the 2026 season. Let's go. All right, that's your top 15 according to ADP at the position. Let's get to pockets now. 16 through 20, Ryan. We have Luis Ariz, Ceddanne Rafaela, Nico Horner, Brandon Lau, Jackson Holiday. So you have 4 guys in the top 11, which is a start, honestly.
Yeah.
A Jackson Holiday who finished 22nd, but I think played much better as the season went on. That this time next year, I don't think we're talking outside of like the top 15 for sure when it comes to Jackson Holiday. I'm very optimistic on him. So what do you like in this range? Because you actually got some decent, I guess, Razzball ranking production. Is still a couple guys I want nothing to do with, though.
I mean, I'll start with Nico Horner, who I believe started on opening day, and that was another one of those injuries.
Didn't go to Korea, though. He started at home opening day.
True. Yeah, that's right. That is correct. Good distinction there. But another, I mean, along the lines of like Zach Neto taking an off-season injury guy with like maybe they make opening day, maybe they don't. Neto didn't, but Nico Horner did, and paid off in spades, finishing number 3 at the position, and doing so with 7 home runs. Like that's, it's not great, but it's certainly not Xavier Edwards. It works. It's not a total zero there. So hell of a season for Nico Horner with that batting average, 599 at bats of a 297 batting average. That is massive. Almost won the batting title over Trey Turner. So that's what I wanted to shout out there.
Yeah, I picked up a few shares of him late in draft season when they said he'll be ready for home opening, as you want might make better. He had 89 runs, 61 RBIs. Like he was very, very good with that average and speed component. So I liked that quite a bit. And then I just Jackson Holiday. Just wanted to kind of highlight that again. He's a guy that was almost dropping at one point. but it's just one of those, a 21-year-old, maybe just let him keep playing. Got 149 games under his belt, 17 homers, 17 steals, 70 runs, 55 RBIs, only struck out 21.5% of the time, which I think is pretty strong. The 242 average is very good as well, considering how things started for him. And he actually had a better first half than second half on the season, which feels weird rostering him. But really like what we got from Holiday as a whole in his first full season. I think there could be some room to continue to improve for a 21-year-old with the Orioles.
One of the best improvements in strikeout rate of any hitter from 24 to 25 was Jackson Holiday. K rate went from 33%, which is god awful last year, down to 21.5% this season. That is really good with league average power again from a 21-year-old. So that I think you kind of speculate if you took Jackson Holiday, you maybe just like speculated that this is the year for him, and you ended up with someone who finished par value. So I think that is fine. Another interesting. This is an interesting little nugget on Brandon Lau. I see, I remember doing our midseason reviews of second base, and Brandon Lau was the number 1 second baseman, so slipped quite a bit in the second half to finish 7th. You look at that 31 home runs on the surface, and it's like, oh, lefty, ballpark. Had more homers on the road than at home. 16 of his 31 home runs came on the road, came away from Steinbrenner Field for Brandon Lau, which just interesting to me.
I've never been worried about Lau's power. It's more being on the field for him, and he played a lot more this year than he usually does. So I'll give him, and 256 average is pretty good for him. I just don't trust the health when it comes to Brandon Lau. That back, it's a back. It's always acting up for him.
Yeah,
at some point in time.
553 plate appearances, his most since 2021.
Yeah.
By a lot, too.
Yeah, kudos. He did it this year. Okay. I don't think I'll be back in next year, so good luck with that. 21 through 25, the artists, or what'd you call them?
The off-brand mascot.
Off-brand mascot.
Kirkland brand mascot,
yes.
Maikel Garcia.
Maikel Garcia, 21st. Jonathan India, 22nd, the Gene Segura Award finalist. Gleyber Torres, 23rd. Willie Castro, the mascot, 24th. Brendan Donovan, 25th. So this is quite the range. Maikel Garcia is the easy one to discuss here. What do you got?
Yeah, man. Shame on us. Picked the wrong damn mascot.
Yep. Yes, we did.
Willie Castro was going 25 picks after Maikel Garcia, staring us right in the face. And Maikel Garcia, hell of a season for him. 286 batting average, 16 homers, 23 steals. Really nice rebound off of a really low BABIP in 24 for Maikel Garcia. So turned that around and did it with some pop with the 16 home runs. I'll give a shout out to fellow old Gleyber Torres, who I took on a bunch of teams this season. Like, was one of my most rostered players. I just like the buyback or the bounce back potential, I should say, coming off a disastrous season. And even the ADP for Torres, like once he signed with Detroit, it's like that's a nail in Torkelson's coffin, but it's also tough for Torres just given the park. But respectable, 628 plate appearances, got the runs and RBI, and I believe did so with a hernia, which was revealed after the season, which I don't know how long Gleyber Torres played with said hernia, but that sounds extremely painful. Second half for Gleyber Torres, only hit 229 with 7 home runs compared to 284 with 9 home runs in the first half. So I think we could give him some grace on that one.
I agree, and I'm glad you hit on Torres because I was going to mention him. First off, surprising, only 28 years old. Feels like he's been playing forever. So
it's true.
That's one. But it's like we all expected these grand things after he had the 24 home runs, then 25 home runs. And it's like maybe this is who he is. Back-to-back seasons, 15 homers, 16 homers, 4 steals both seasons, 257, 256, 80 runs, 79 runs, 63 RBI, 70. Like, this is who he is. And that's a very good player at this ADP. Like, I'd be all
fine.
over
like, if you're going to wait at second base, just get someone who doesn't hurt you. Like, that works.
Play almost every day. That's why I wanted to say, like, I'm glad you highlighted him. He's actually very good. I think we need to put the idea that he's this extra, like, machine out of the picture. Maybe he overproduces one of these years. It's cool. But at worst, he's still going to give you a phenomenal floor with some potential upside. So I love it. Still young. Hopefully he won't have, he's proving that you can walk with 3 balls. So that's good. Yeah, it's pretty the hernia. So apparently it's he's healthy in 2026 would be a good start. Other thing I want to mention is Brendan Donovan. I just want to remind everybody to start the season. I said I want nothing to do with Brendan Donovan. Finished 23rd at the position. Yes, he hit 287. But you want to talk about a do nothing for me stat line? Brendan Donovan, he got you that. He hit 10 home runs and stole 3 bases with 50 RBIs and 64 runs. 287 is nice. The rest of it, not much. And it's only in 515 plate appearances. It wasn't even like he accumulated a lot. So I just wanted to throw that one out there. I wanted nothing to do with him, and he started out guns a-blazing, and I thought I was going to eat so much crow. No, I'm gonna take that one and go with it.
Gene Segura award winner, in my opinion. Jonathan India too. 9 homers, no steals. Hit 233 in 567 plate appearances. I think I drafted India in the meatball, by the way, which is on brand.
Yeah, you did. Like right after we had the Bloomies. Yes.
27th round, man. Can't fault me.
Okay.
Like, would you rather have 3 positions like India or 3 balls like
we'll go with India. I'm just going to stop there before I say something really inappropriate. The final 5, 26 through 30. Is this Indiana Hoosier Red down here? Is that what we're seeing, Ryan?
Oh, good pull.
Tyler Fitzgerald, Christian Campbell, Christopher Morel, who I had a lot of interest in, the artist formerly known as Keith Colt, and Jake Cronenworth. Talk about another boring stat line, and Jake Cronenworth. My goodness. This is just bad all around. Fitzgerald finished the year in the minors, got hurt. Actually, I think he finished with the Giants, but he spent a lot of time in the minors. Christian Campbell spent the rest of the year in the minors. Christopher Morel should have spent the year in the minors. Keith actually wasn't that bad, but wasn't great. It's just a bad position.
Yeah, this was like last Saturday. It was all Hoosier Red and pretty much 0 Oregon Duck Green at this point. So I think particularly, I mean, I don't know, like Morel, whatever. Like Christian Campbell, I think was the most disappointing just because the way he started. Like it actually looked like he was gonna just take off, and obviously he took off back to I think Worcester is their AAA. So not great. Tyler Fitzgerald was, I guess in hindsight, like
11th round pick in the meatball draft didn't go so well. Oh,
I wasn't going to go there, but
I'll do it. Yes. I gave you the Indiana Hoosier Red. I got to give you something else. So, yeah,
fine by me.
All right. Any final thoughts on the top 30 here before we go to some breakouts? Because it kind of goes back to the start of the show. You needed to. Also, you had to go early, but if you waited till after basically. Well, I'll throw McKell in there, but you needed a top 20 guy, essentially, top 21 guy. And like 3/4 of those hit, I would say. Otherwise, you were just completely hosed.
Yeah, completely hosed. If you did go in that like 156 ADP to 200-ish ADP, probably had a decent shot at returning some value, but yeah, not that great up top, and certainly not good if you waited even longer.
Agreed. All right, let's talk breakouts. The man that is carrying the Seattle Mariners in the playoffs, Ryan. Kick us off with the big man.
Yeah, Jorge Polanco finished 8th at the position, had an ADP of, was it 413? So basically undrafted in a lot of leagues, and I mean deservedly so, right? Like Jorge Polanco was coming off a season where he hit 16 homers but hit 213 in Seattle. Came back to Seattle, had off-season knee surgery, and just like, okay, this is a laundry list of injuries for someone who has had leg issues in the past, 32 years old. Like, but Jorge Polanco, yeah, man, cut his strikeout rate in half. It was 29% last year, down to 15% in 2025. While also throwing up a double-digit barrel rate. So excellent season for Jorge Polanco. I don't know how anyone, myself included, saw this coming. Like, I guess Jorge Polanco's done it before, but that was back in 2021. So that's a little bit of a stretch. It's been a while, but hell of a season for Jorge Polanco, our biggest breakout and somewhat carrying the Mariners.
Yeah, it was just hard. It was hard. 2024, 118 games. 2023, 80, 104. So 3 straight years of just abysmal ability to stay healthy. Strikeout rate went all the way up to 29% in 2024. You mentioned the batting average. I don't think anybody saw this coming. So that's quite the breakout for Polanco. The second breakout was Lennon Sosa, finished 13th at the position. We talked about him last week with first base. Dude's really, really good for the price you paid. And he's still young, too. So I could see more to come there.
Yep.
Your boy, the bus driver, what do you got for Otto Lopez?
Yeah, the bus driver finished 15th on the player rater. And honestly, I thought it could have been higher. I don't know. He did miss.
I would have figured higher, probably. Yeah.
Did miss some time. 594 plate appearances for Otto Lopez. But yeah, excellent season, man. Like, it puts the ball in play a ton. So I would almost think he did this with a 264 BABIP, so only hit 246. Like, Otto Lopez deserved a higher batting average, but 15 homers, 15 steals from where you drafted Otto Lopez is just was I won't say massive, but it helped a ton on a bunch of my teams where I took Otto late. It really worked out.
Yep, that worked out really, really well. I got him in some 12-team fabs as the season went on, which is pretty nice as well. Last one on the list here.
Last and least.
EC Light. Ernie Clement finished 17th at the position. And I'll be the first to admit this is why the position is this bad that he finished 17th.
Yeah.
I'll beat you to it because you look like the dude was great. He could fill in once in a while for streaming. We talked about he hit 277 on the year, which is outstanding. But 9 home runs and 6 steals doesn't do much for you. Did have 83 runs scored though. They with 50 RBIs, so really good stream. Played all over the diamond, which was a big part of it. But that batting average, the runs scored, was tremendous later in the season when you're trying to just kind of piece your teams together through injuries, and that's where I think he came in handy. But to try to say like he's this phenomenal player, like I'm a lot of things. I can accept a few things. And EC Light, great person probably, played hurt a lot. 17th second baseman just tells you how bad the position is.
Yeah, and how much fun we had with Ernie Clement's season, to be honest, because it was a lot of good back and forth. And it turned out again, the Discord I think likes to pick on me every time Ernie Clement did something. I would know about it, so I was like, damn, Ernie Clement's actually having a good season. And yeah, but not a good fantasy season. 17th to second base.
It would be interesting to go back because it was almost its own fab segment for like 2.5 months.
Yes.
What I'd love to know the first day I brought him up to see what his stat line was from then on. Just to really razz.
Oh yeah, I mean Clement was not good in April. No homers, 1 steal, hit 242 in April. Didn't do anything in March. So probably was. He was hot in May, 306 in May, 3 homers. That's probably when we brought him up. And then I would say did his thing, but kind of did stuff for a while.
What exactly is it you say you do around here?
He was better than the Bobs, but
yes, he was better than the Bobs.
But no, I mean honestly, like you drafted him in draft and holds, that was super, super useful. And even in 15s, having that roster spot that flexibility is huge.
Yep. All right, let's go to the listener questions. We had one question, I believe, tonight in the Discord. One whole question from everybody. Dave Petroziello.
I posted it late. Apologies,
it's all
folks.
good. It's all good. You think the Nats will get a new manager that doesn't hate Luis Garcia? I wish, but the problem is, like we discussed, Dave, we might want them to hate him so he doesn't face left-handed pitching.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat that dead horse, but yeah, we'll go back to the Luis Garcia segment. Maybe I'll be the manager of the Nats. Bench Luis Garcia for you all. Thank me.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. But I'll do it. Second base in the books. In, out, quick, dirty, done. Final thoughts before we head to shortstop on Thursday, which will bring a lot more discussion points, I have a feeling.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot more to talk about at shortstop on Thursday. But no, I mean, you gotta the world needs dish diggers too, and that's why we have second base as a position. So there's that.
And if you hit one of these guys, that'll tell you how much better your team's going to be, honestly, because not many. If you think 15-team league, probably at least half the league's trying to find a second baseman throughout the season. So if you can hit one of these guys, like obviously if you hit Terang or something, it's great. But even if you got one of the other options, like even the Bryson Stotts of the world, those are very serviceable in a 15. So you could make magic happen with that. But we'll wrap it up there. Again, we'll be back with you guys Thursday evening to review the shortstop position, much deeper position for the 2025 fantasy baseball year. But until then, you can find Ryan on Twitter at RyanBHQ, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. I'm BD Intric, and until next time, Bubba and the Bloom, episode 285. Catch y'all later.
Happy birthday.